Take
Take two.
question number 7. What personality traits do you think you exhibit, and how do you think those traits affect your staff and affect your leadership?
It's funny because in a meeting not too long ago, we took a personality assessment test. And not that it was super eye-opening, but it just makes this question easy to answer. So I definitely think I'm a social person, very friendly, very personable, likable. How that helps me be successful as a manager is that people enjoy working with me and for me. They think it's a fun environment to work in, right? Kind of the second side of my personality is a little bit of a taskmaster. So I want there to be a specific task, and I want it done with little to no excuses. And when there are excuses, I kind of just squash it. Like, I don't want to believe that those excuses exist. And so sometimes in a management environment that can be troublesome for employees, not troublesome, but it's hard for employees because sometimes there are some real obstacles, and I don't always acknowledge those obstacles with employees. But I don't think it's a bad thing to be a taskmaster and want to succeed, because in my professional career, that's kind of what's gotten me here.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Question number 8. Have you ever disappointed an employee, and how?
Yes. So I had a teller that worked for me earlier in the year, and I truly do believe that this teller was someone that I changed my management style because of the feedback that she gave me. She was a very, very good teller, and left the company, and before she did, she gave me the gift of feedback and told me that that I don't often communicate or even do some socializing with my teller team, that it's mostly my platform or banker side. And how Chase is set up, we have a platform side and we have an operations side, and my assistant branch manager is over the operations and the tellers, and I am over the platform banker side and the overall branch. And so it wasn't really something that I thought about socializing with the tellers or not socialize. I wasn't purposely trying not to, but in her head, it felt like she was less valued than the bankers because I spent less time with her. And I was incredibly thankful for that feedback, because I honestly think that the tellers are the most important part of this team. They see the most customers, and so for them to feel not valued by me was completely unacceptable, and I changed overall how I managed that part of it because of that feedback. So I would say definitely disappointed her, but learned from that disappointment.
Okay. All right, question number 9. How do you manage different personalities when it comes to discipline?
I think that you have to be a chameleon when it comes to management styles with different employees. And I think it almost you have to mirror your employees. So if you have an employee that is kind of all over the place, be their balance, right? So be very structured and methodical with your coaching with them, as opposed to somebody that is very methodical and direct. You want to make sure that they're being helped thinking outside of the box and conceptualizing and thinking big picture. So you really just kind of have to be a master of many hats. And it's not always great. You're not going to be great at all, but it's something that definitely you learn.
Okay. And now we're going to ask questions that are more specific to you and to your role.
Okay.
But before that, just kind of a little bit background. How do you think that your gender has had an impact on management? Do you think that your gender has an impact on the perception your employees have of you?
don't think it does. I don't think it does have an impact on the perception of my employees, and I don't think it had an impact on myself being promoted. I do, however, feel like being a woman in corporate America, sometimes you have to make decisions on whether you want to further your career faster or stop and have a family. And it's something that no one's ever talked to me about. You know, women in corporate America never talk about their families and how that influenced it. But for me, it added, taking yourself out of a branch for 4 to 6 months really added to the amount of time that I needed to put in that particular branch to make it successful. Whereas a man in my job had a straight 2 years. I had to manage that branch for 3 years to get the same amount of growth because I was plugged out for 4 to 6 months. So, but I'm happy with where I'm at this point. It just is something that I felt like no one really talked to me about, and so I talked to all of my female employees about.
Okay. Another question is, during your first year of business, when you first started out in management, could you name some of those challenges you came upon on?
There's a balance between going, and excuse my language, but like going balls to the wall right away, right? So you sometimes get a new manager and you get into a branch and you want to do everything at once, and you just can't. You can't do everything at once, and you can't move people that fast. So what it does is just your people harbor resentment, and they think that you have a chip on your shoulder when really you're just trying to be successful. So that's something that definitely was a challenge for me my first year, how to take it back and slow it down and understand that not everyone is like me. And that certain people need to slow down and learn slower than I do, basically.
Okay. Next question. Do you think that great leaders are born or made?
You and I had difference of opinion on this question. So I definitely think that they are made, because I think that there's qualities in leaders that are similar and that make great leaders, but I think that it's what you choose to, or how you choose to grow and foster the great qualities, and maybe try to downplay the qualities that are not so good, that really make you excellent at what you do. So I definitely think I'm a better leader now than I was when I first started with Chase, and I think that's because I've learned and grown throughout my years here.